Let's just jump right in. And Jared, it's your turn.
I did it last time. I really did.
It's my turn?
Yep.
Welcome to another episode of the Boga Hunting Podcast. We have two recurring guests back on. We've had William on several times, his dad. I mean, we've had all you guys on, and Donnie. This is time number 2, so it's good to have you on to talk a little bit. Something that we haven't ever really talked about on this show, I guess you could call this a show.
Sure.
Where basically the cameraman hunter dynamic. You guys have done a lot of hunts all around the world together. Figured we'd like to hear from you guys what that's like. So before we jump into it, you guys want to introduce who you are and what you guys do together?
Yeah, go ahead, William.
Well, I'm William Altman, and I've been DP at Sick Manta for 10 years. Donnie and I have been walking around in a lot of places for a long time. It was basically my first gig, pretty much, and it's been the same way ever since. So that's me, and go for it, Donnie.
Wait, before you do, William, you said this is your first gig. How did that happen?
We can get into that. I mean, basically, I started filming for myself and my dad. We were literally just filming each other back and forth. I got out of high school and I didn't really want to go to college. And Dad was like, well, what do you want to do with your life? You know, you got to do something. And so I was like, all right, well, I just pretty much want to hunt. That's pretty much what I want to do. And he's like, okay, well, how do you make any money hunting? And it was, you know, maybe make a TV show, maybe, you know, film a TV show, host a TV show, you know, or make some kind of product or something in the industry. And filming seemed like the most obvious option just because I was sort of artistic and, you know, had that skill set, I guess.
Yeah.
So we just started filming each other for like about 2 years and sort of built up a little bit of a portfolio, a little skill set.
Yeah.
And started sending, you know, photos and video to companies. And the one that stuck out the most was Sicka Gear. I sent them some photos.
Yeah.
And they said, you know, we want to talk about some stuff, and flew me out to SHOT Show and like wanted to just kind of meet and talk about some things they were working on.
Yeah.
And when I was there, I met a whole bunch of people, and one of those guys was Jeff Simpson, who
Sure.
Donnie was working together with that year one. And then through Jeff, I met Donnie, and then ever since then we've been running around together.
Love it. Basically, love at first sight.
Yeah.
That's basically how James and I met. You know, I had all the skills and the looks, and
I don't even know how to use a camera. What did I bring to the table?
I don't know.
Like, I'm terrible. We just have been starting to film and do some of that. Like, I say film with air quotes because it's basically just a step above a camcorder, following each other around. And no, that's rude.
You pick on me more times than not on this show.
It's going to happen quite a bit.
Pick my shots where I can.
That's fair.
Hey, sorry to interrupt right now, but we got to thank a few of these sponsors that help make this show and this type of content possible. So here it is.
First up, HuntWise, our favorite phone app. You can get it on Android. You can get it on iPhone. It's the ultimate sportsman's app. It's got mapping, movement predictions, and social media content. So look them up on your App Store, Google Play, or whatever kind of phone you have.
Vortex Optics is some of the best optics in the world. All right, we use them all the time, not only for hunting, but I actually use it sometimes out on the golf range.
And in the podcast range.
And on the podcast. It's Wisconsin-based, so it's an American company. And also, they make a pretty slick clothing line. So if you want to save yourself 20% off on clothes like this, head over to their website and use the code BOGA20 for 20% off.
Yeah, next up is Vector Custom Arrows. It's an arrow company that we really love. Again, they're a Wisconsin company. You basically go to their website, you enter in your bow specs, and they create a custom, perfectly tuned arrow that fits your needs. It's a micro diameter. It's heavy hitting. We shoot them into tons of stuff. We don't break them very much, and they're delivered right to your door. Check them out at vectorcustomarrows.com.
All right, if you didn't know already, we are Michigan guys. So we like partnering with Michigan companies. So we are proud to announce that we are partnering with Prime Archery. And believe it or not, James, you're going to be shooting a compound here.
I'm going to dabble.
He's going to dabble in the wheelie bow again. So we're both actually going to be shooting the Nexus bows that are brand new for 2021.
You're 4. On Nexus 4, I'm going to be shooting the Nexus 2.
Yep. So if you guys haven't checked these bows out, go take a look on their website. They're awesome.
Nano grip. Just check it out. The grip stays warm in your hand. Huge deal. I get cold fingers, and I'm a big fan. Looking forward to it.
If you've been paying attention to the podcast and this show, you know that we are big advocates of saddle hunting. And the best saddles that we like to use are the Trophy Line tree saddles. They are top-notch. They fit really well. They're very adjustable. We've actually used quite a bit of them, and we found that Trophy Line is our favorite, mainly because of that. And if you guys think you want to get into the saddle game this year, or if you're looking to upgrade your saddle, head over to their website, and you can save yourself 10% by using the big long code Boga Hunting TL10.
One word.
One word, 10%. Go get yourself some discounts.
We work with another amazing Michigan company, Bivouac Bow Co., the makers of some of the finest traditional archery equipment that we've had the chance to shoot. I've been loving the mobility and the stability of their backland bow, shooting it for about a year and a half now. Huge fan. It's compact. It shoots like a longer recurve. If you want to get into traditional hunting, if you want to maybe upgrade the traditional setup you have, go to Bivouac Bow Co. Give them a call. Talk to Georgia, talk to Jim, and they'll hook you up with something pretty special.
We've all kind of been there. A few hard days in the woods, you're going to get a little sore. Things might not be feeling normal. That's where you can actually use something that's a pretty trendy product right now, and that's CBD. It's not cannabis, all right? So you're not going to be feeling all crazy.
It's hard to light.
This is hemp extraction, I believe it is.
It is.
It's
and this is locally sourced, so it's pure and local.
It's pretty much an oil with a dropper. You drop it on your knee and rub it in just like any other ointment.
Or any other body part that might be hurting.
Yikes. But we use it. It helps. You save yourself 10%. Go to their website. 20%.
Yeah, 20%.
20%.
Boga.
Sorry. Boga 20.
And now back to business.
You got to look up here.
And now back to business.
All right. Well, so it's good to have you on. It's good to have a little backstory, but I didn't want to let you get too far without asking you. Donnie, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, filmmaker, kind of got into this business the exact same time that William did. For what it's worth, I hate the term cameraman because
Sure.
I think guys that run around with a camera and film their buddies are cameramen. And I think what William does is, it's a true different profession. He's a true director of photography and a true artist, true photographer. So, but yeah, we just, I worked as a biologist prior to this and then just was going on some big hunts all by myself. And people started asking more and more about the place that I was going, the things that I was seeing. And so, I tried to tell them with my words at first and tried to articulate that as best I could. And then I started thinking, well, I better bring a little camera with me. Right. Images would be better than just my words. And so, a little point and click camera turned into a camera with a remote, turned into a video camera, turned into me doing some, self-filming storytelling, which kind of just one door opened another and another and another. And through Sitka gear and being a Sitka athlete, I met Jeff Simpson, who was also a Sitka athlete. I don't know what he does now, and through him, I met William. And then Kyle Nicolite, who is our director and producer. And the long and short of it is early on in that project, which was called the short season, I knew that it wasn't going to work out with Jeff. We were oil and water for the most part. And I really mixed well with the guys. And he was, he's a nice enough guy, but he's brutal to work with. And so he was pretty brutal on William and Kyle. And so we were actually in Patagonia, southern tip of South America. And I started orchestrating this plan in probably October. We started in August. I came up with the idea in October that I was going to leave, and then basically propositioned William probably in like December, January. And he said, yeah, wherever you're going, I'll go. And then did the same to Kyle in March while we were in Patagonia. I didn't even finish my sentence. And he's like, yep. And we started Sigmanta that spring, which was like 2011, I think. So it's been 10 years or whatever. And William and I have been together ever since. And same with Kyle. And, And we brought on a musician several years back named Casey Olson. And then we've essentially, as often happens with a crew like ours, we have hired and fired, hired and fired, hired and fired, hired and fired. And then we now have basically a fifth employee now, but and we're actually starting to look for an additional editor and photographer right now. But we basically have hired and fired that position multiple times, looking for the right fit. But the three of us have been clicking ever since, and it's amazing the doors that we've opened, and that we've opened and have been opened from us delving into our craft. It's insane. It's bananas. Like it was for sure walk, run for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, have you guys, Bob Dylan, I'm going to bring in Bob Dylan for a minute here. He's got all these unreleased songs, right? Like the basement tapes, they call them. And like, no one, when are we going to get like the Donnie Vincent, like camcorder, like the beginning, when you first started filming, when are you going to start releasing those, those rough cuts?
That's a good question. I have all that stuff. And actually William and I think William just bought some gear, and we bought some gear a few years ago to digitize essentially all those old tapes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we've worked on some of that stuff. So we have some stuff, and that's quite hilarious. And hunting in long underwear and trying to kill trying to belly crawl up to a pond to shoot a mallard duck, in my underwear and stuff like that. So there's definitely a beginning. And I know there is for William as well, because like you see pictures of William when he was starting out with his dad, and he looks like he literally is 10 years old, but he's tiny.
Yeah, my dad and I started filming stuff together, just handy cam stuff, when I was 10,
Yeah.
So I've got a whole box of tapes that, I haven't seen in years because I don't have any stuff to play. So, but the other day, I was actually a couple of weeks ago, I just said, I'm going to buy a little bit of gear to try to digitize some of this.
Yeah.
And so I bought a few. And so I put a few tapes into the program. I haven't done a whole lot, but I've done a couple. So it's kind of funny.
We'll be looking for that to come out, where it began, the beginnings, origins.
There's some pretty old stuff in there. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. So, it's something you guys mentioned is, having difficulty working with somebody, and then you guys kind of like clicking right away.
That's a big deal.
That's a big deal. Like we talk about it a lot. Jared and I, we give each other a hard time, but running with a lot of different people, always end up hunting together, and it just kind of works really well. And just our personalities work together. And I'm not going to make fun of you. I was about to make fun of you, and I'm not going to.
Thank you.
But what is it about you guys? Like, what works? Why does it work so well between you two?
Go ahead, William.
I think we have a really similar desire to be outside. It's not just, we were talking about this the other day. Donnie was actually up here in Maine, and we were expressing how when we were kids, we just, everything we could do to just be outside, whether it was finding frogs or snakes or building forts or it was, that was the passion. And so we both to this day are the same in that sense. It's not about killing a big animal. It's not, it's about the adventure and being out there. And when neither one of us have a struggle with spending long trips and bad weather, and it's like that's all part of the trip, right?
Right.
So I think that's probably a big part of it. We both just really enjoy it. Just the bad days and the good days.
Yeah.
So that was always easy. It was just super easy to be there. Nobody was harping on, nobody was having really a bad day. Like everybody was happy.
Yeah.
So that I think was a big part of it. And then, I don't know, I guess a similar desire to just succeed and, push really hard and get to the end. We've been on some crazy stuff. We've done some things that most people, we were saying the other day, it was like, we'll spend 3-4 weeks at a time in a tent together, and most guys can't spend 2 or 3 days,
Sure.
Like, even friends, they see people see friends, and that stuff burns them out in a hurry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's just been really fluid, and I don't really know how else to say it. It's been easy. So don't know if Donnie's got any ideas on that, but
Yeah, it's essentially the same. It's having the nearly identical appreciation of animals and wild places, and then, like William says, having this teammate mentality of when it's really scary or really sucks. Like, we have our bag of tricks is we get to expend it together, right? The physicality, the carrying the weight, the how we're going to deal with the bears or the river crossings or the cliffs, or and even figuring out a deer or moose, caribou, how we're going to get around, and
problem solving.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, problem solving.
The teamwork has been very team oriented. Nobody has a sort of higher ego or higher place in the, you know, you're not fighting. We're never fighting with each other. It's always like, what do you have to say? And what do I have to say? And let's make the best of it, you know? So, you know, I know a lot of guys, they bicker and they, you know, one guy's got to be right, you know?
Yeah.
And we don't have that thing going on at all.
No.
So, you know.
Well, it's a big deal. Like, you know, I don't know. We've seen it. It's like something will be like, it's like 2 a.m. We're trying to figure out a way to get a buck out of you know, the like a creek bed and then through briars, and you get it back to camp. And it's like, I don't know. I look over at Jared. He's got a big smile on his face, you know, and I do. And it's like, yeah, it's going to be physically hard, but it's also like the best. Like, that's
go do it.
That's some of the most fun. Because later on, that's the story you tell, not the bluebird day that you're sitting out like.
No,
you know, that's the story, and I feel like half the time the story to tell is kind of the most fun.
Yeah,
For sure. That's when you have the raw, you know, that's when everything's peeled away. That's when you start to reveal who you are. Like, when you're scared and when you're really tired, really, really hungry. Yeah. Like, I can tell you unequivocally the best drink of water I've ever had in my life. Yeah. Without a doubt, with William in the Northwest Territories, being without water for like 3/4 of a day in a 90-degree temperature day, where we're literally climbing up and down mountains, hunting mountain caribou and Dall sheep. And on our way back to camp, finding a little seep, probably the size of a wheelbarrow, of crystal clear mountain water that was just sitting in a kind of a mud puddle, just running out from, and we just quietly filled our Nalgene bottles, just one at a time, because you didn't want to disturb the sediment.
Sure.
So you're just slowly filling it and then handing it to the guy across from you. And it literally tasted, it was euphoric. I've never maybe experienced a more euphoric feeling in my life than taking a sip of water that day. So you have things like that, right? You have these kind of things that you share, and it's a very unique set of skills that William has, and a very unique relationship that we've developed. We can do things with hand signals, with looking at one another, with little, you know, like, this is never anything that we've ever talked about, but literally, you know, sometimes we've sat in a blind 30 below zero, 20 below zero, days on end that we've been camping, trying to kill a deer that we've been hunting for 4 falls, and we're sharing a pee bottle. We only have one pee bottle that we're sharing, and I'm peeing into it standing up, and William literally, because he doesn't want to take his eyes off the camera, literally pokes my butt cheek with his finger. So just from that touch, I know there's a deer. I know from the pressure and the slowness that it's the buck we're after, and then I know with the intensity that he's within range now. So literally seconds later, we kill this deer we've been after for 4 falls, but nothing is talked about, right? Like, and still, and like, there's other things like cliffs that we've had to cross that, you know, like, I don't know that I'd want to cross without him.
Sure.
Like, literally, I've screamed at him quietly, and like, we've gotten arguments like, hey, you know, William will say like, hey, I think that sheep is up over this cliff. I'm like, well, is he or isn't he? Because I think he's up this chute. He's like, well, I think he's over here. Well, if one of us is wrong, it's catastrophic. So we have to, you know, like, so we're kind of like whisper arguing. Yeah. We have to kind of figure it out. We're looking at landscapes, and we're not arguing our case to be right. I'm telling William how I remember it. He's telling me how he remembers it. And we're trying to figure out where the two intersect so we can like figure out where it is that we need to go and not die, and there's a certain confidence that comes from like, at least if I fall to my death, I know William's going to be there to see it, watch it, and to tell my family how it went, if you will.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And maybe make the story just like even like add some heroic elements to it, like play the story up a little bit. It's funny though. You talk about, I feel like the reason why you're right. It's right.
It's a real story.
I'm not, but that's the thing. Like when it comes to hunting and, whether it's, hunting in Michigan or hunting, out in Alaska or whatever, you're faced with these certain things that kind of strip, like you mentioned earlier, strip away a lot of the niceties or like the comforts. And so, so C.S. Lewis, famous author, talks about it like flipping on a light switch and you get a glimpse at all the cockroaches and they quick scatter. But like when the light's on, you don't see them. But when you flick it on real fast, then you see what a person's really like. And when you're hunting, you kind of strip away all the things. Anybody can be nice on on a nice day when you're just kind of walking around hanging out. But when things are, not going well, you're cold, you're tired, that's when the light switch is flipped and you get to see like who that person really is. And that's why you can really a lot of friendships are made and broken, I think, in these like more challenging or cold or whatever. Yeah. Outside hunting. Yeah. We've had guys we brought out that it didn't work out great. We didn't get along very well. They were, they complained or they got tired or whatever. Or maybe we rubbed them the wrong way. Doubtful though. And it just doesn't work out. So it's an interesting thing. Okay. So I want to keep moving because I have some questions about like more the practical side of things. Right.
Yeah.
So we talked about or a little earlier on, you got all this gear you guys make, just came out with Flourish, really cool piece. You have, tons of videos that probably a lot of our listeners have seen or at least heard about. You're carrying all this crap out in the woods with you. It's hard enough as a single hunter, to go out and stay warm and to stay alert and to kill, a buck or whatever you're hunting. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to have two guys in a tree with a bunch of gear. What's that like?
Pain in the ass. To be honest.
Yeah. Terrible at times.
Yeah. It has for sure impacted, our success in harvesting animals, I would say. No doubt. It's not easy. And we take, probably 3 times more stuff than a lot of people even take.
Sure.
So it's, double the scent, double the noise, double the sight, everything, and then 3 times, 4 times the complexity and trying to line everything up and get the shot and get the cameras on and the whole nine. So yeah, it's not easy. And then, the mountain element is a whole nother one with like backpacks weighing, 85 pounds and all that. And, that like that Flourish, you were saying that little film we did there, that was actually on that sheep hunt that Donnie was talking about where we were trying not to die on the cliff.
That's a good move.
But that trip, we weighed our packs going in. We were all about like 85 pounds, and that's 20 miles in just to get to like the hunting area. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff. There's times when it's like, I don't want to carry all this. You're carrying like my main camera is about 16 and a half pounds, and that's all the time, like on one arm. Just swinging it on one arm all day, every day, 16 pounds. So it gets, I guess you get strong after a little while.
Physically, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to be a writer. You just carry a pen and paper, you're good.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's and it's distracting for both of us, right? Even though William's a photographer and even though I'm in front of the camera, it's distracting. Like if we were billionaires, we very well would likely be doing the very same thing. But I don't know if we would be sitting there just together, just doing it, like sharing the time together, and you watch that side and I'll watch this side, and and or if we'd still be there with the cameras, because the cameras are a massive intrusion in our minds and our hearts, and they're a massive intrusion in the woods, right? Like we were hunting this giant deer last year, William and I were, and we were in his freaking bedroom. But every time we saw him, he saw us, because we looked like Inspector Gadget in the tree trying to hide and like picking our spots, and we did really good. We almost killed him, but it just, the cameras are very intrusive into the experience. Yeah. And they're very intrusive into being seen in the woods. But it's you know, it's, and then you get back to the cabin or the teepee or wherever we are, and William will put some images on the computer, you know, and then, you know, we filmed this one deer last year in Illinois. He has, I don't even know, he's got 4 drop tines and he's got points everywhere. And he was coming through a CPR field one morning, a CRP field, and there's frost all over the goldenrod, and he was following this doe, and he was kind of posturing, and you know, he's yawning, he's opening his mouth super slow, and William's filming him, and he's sticking his tongue out. You see, like, you know, drool dripping from him. You know, as soon as we put that on the computer we're like, yep, that's why. You know, you see that imagery, can't wait to share that with people, because you know, when people like you are going to see it, you know, they're going to get goosebumps, and the hair is going to stick up on the back of their neck, and we both have a massive sense of accomplishment. Even though we're not going to kill that deer, you know, we just got done filming a whitetail that very few people ever see in the wild in their lives, and we filmed him in a manner that is similarly to you know, planet Earth kind of like imagery. And so it right there, it's the drug kicks in, and it's right back. It's worth it again, all over again.
That's the payoff right there.
And you're just capturing sometimes those moments that you even miss. Like you probably would have never seen, like you probably would have seen that buck yawn, but like not to that extreme detail. And the ability just to like relive it again and again, you know?
Yeah, and to tell it to somebody, it's like, oh, I saw this. You wouldn't believe it. He yawned, his tongue came out, he was drooling. And it's like, you can kind of picture it, but when you see it and it's, you know, very vivid, it's, I mean, you tell an amazing story that way. It's like a visual story.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the jam.
I mean, like Donnie was saying, you know, it's definitely an intrusion to the mind and like the soul when you're out there. You can't just, you know, we're working, like it's a job. We can't just sit there and enjoy it like you would if you were alone or with your buddies, you know? So there's that portion of it, but when you actually get to finish the project and show it to people, and it's sort of, you get to show people things they'll never probably see in their life. And then, you know, tell a story that might change how people see hunting or how people experience the outdoors. And, you know, essentially educate and teach. And I mean, those things are all like a big plus. So in the moment it can kind of suck for sure. But then, you know, at the end it's a big payoff and big reward. But we you know, since day one, you know, it's always been, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the best that we possibly can. Because it's not worth it to go halfway, you know. Right. Like it's all or nothing. It's still that like the whole intrusion of the mind and the soul and all that. It's like that's all still there, whether you're just filming with a handy cam and doing that kind of like, you know, halfway attempt for us, you know. So it's just not worth it unless we just go all out. So that's why the camera, you know, we're bringing a lot of gear and you know, expensive, you know, big equipment and heavy stuff, but at the end you get that shot that you're just like, man, you know, like that's a serious shot right there.
Well, and as you guys have done it, your audience has grown. And does it feel like you have more, like there's more weight to what you do now? Because more people are looking, you know, I know you guys talk about it on social media, on other podcasts and stuff, like a lot of non-hunters, a lot of hunters, they're now looking to you. And does it feel like there's like more of a burden, more of a responsibility now?
I don't feel any more burden other than, you know, sometimes there's a burden in being successful. It doesn't ride on me and it doesn't ride on him. Like we've had some of the best conversations, smiling, happy, patting each other on the back with not killing an animal, but you know, an audience doesn't always appreciate that. And so there's some pressure. Like sometimes we'll go to Alaska for 3 weeks and we won't kill an animal, you know, because we didn't find the right one. We didn't get in the right scenario. And people look at you like they're, you know, like they feel gutted, or you should feel gutted. And we're stoked about it. You know, like it's just the way it goes. You know, sometimes the brown bear goes upstream around this bush instead of downstream to where there are fish, and you don't get your archery shot, you know, and things like that. So, but it's, I mean, there's definitely some pressures that are involved with it, but I don't ever let that, I like the responsibility. I feel a little bit of pressure when I'm writing,
sure,
that I have to say things in a particular manner, not have to, want to say things in a particular manner that elicit a response from people that hunters can appreciate it and not understand it, but appreciate it for what it is, and that non-hunters can understand it, and maybe that it will, you know, ignite a conversation or a question, or maybe a conversation between spouses or girlfriends or friends or whatever.
I mean, you're putting a lot of pretty profound things into words, and you're doing it for a lot of people so they can understand what you're saying. So that can't be an easy thing to do.
Yeah, it hasn't been, because I was asked these questions early on from some producers at National Geographic, and when they asked me, you know, why it is that we hunt and why it is that we, you know, go out and get these films and do these things, it was, I mean, yeah, as soon as I was asked the question, I was like, oh yeah, I'll tell you why I hunt, because you know, we get outside and, you know, you get to see the sun come up.
It's awesome.
They're like, yeah, those are great perks, but why, you know? And then I started diving into really I just kept going a little bit further back and a little bit further back, and started to get mankind, and then human beings, and then us as a species, and us as an animal. And then it started to all make sense. Then I started removing ourselves from society, started kind of getting away from the confines that is sociology and society, and the walls that we've built for ourselves and the infrastructures that we built for ourselves. And then it's very easy to see the why, and then it's the relationship is even deeper, you know. And like William and I have found that, you know, we can find, like he said, we were just in Maine, and I mean, it's no telling how far we could walk into the woods.
Sure. Just keep going.
Yeah.
There's a lot of woods to be had in Maine. Well, and what you're getting at is like first things, like to understand something truly, you got to get to the root of it. And you got to go back, and that's, you know, go back from your immediate experience to your emotions, to the why, to who you are. And like you get down to the fundamental of, you know, what it is to be a human being, what it is to be an individual. And, you know, once you start there, you can figure out the way you feel, the way you think about a lot of things, hunting included.
Yeah, and it's not something that I came up with. I didn't go looking for an answer. I had to start doing some research, but my whole life, whether I've been duck hunting, deer hunting, whatever, grouse with friends and others, I never related to other hunters. Hardly ever. Occasionally I would have a relationship with another hunter where they, you know, we had some of the same philosophies, but usually I would just fake my responses to everything. Sure. You know, a guy would kill a big buck, be like, yeah, I killed that son of a bitch. And I'd be like, yeah, man, you got one. And like, I just literally fake it, and I'd go to my room.
Yeah.
You know, and now, you know, that's one of the connections that I had with William.
Yeah. And I think like Donnie, you know, you grew up outside of a family that didn't really, I mean, your dad pretended to hunt.
Yeah, pretended to hunt. Yeah.
And then, you know, you had some friends and stuff that again sort of had hunting camps, and it was more about the party than the hunt. And you know, Donnie figured out pretty quickly that like not everybody, or not many, know how to really do this, and started doing his own thing. And that's very similar to how I grew up here in Maine. You know, we just don't have a lot of sort of highly skilled and, you know, very dedicated hunters up here. I mean, there's a lot of people that spend a lot of time. There's not a lot of people that actually figure out how to get deer, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, taking it to that next level and actually processing, you know, how am I going to be successful on a yearly basis? That's not really that common up here, to be honest.
Well, it's like an isolating thing. You know, I've at times felt kind of alone in it. Like when I've gone with family members, they like, it's like the running joke in my family. Everybody gets mad at me when we go hunting because it's like, well, yeah, whenever we go with you, we have to like walk through, there's swamp and prickers and everybody like, I remember I walking with my dad in Colorado. I'm like, we got to go this way. We got to take the truck up here. And he's screaming the F-bomb, and we're half off the mountain. And he's like, why did you talk me to get in? I'm like, I think the elk are up here. And they weren't, to be fair, but they were not up there. But I'm like, I think they're up there. And you see some amazing, I don't regret it at all. He's, he my brother too. I'm like, I have two brothers, my youngest brother for months. I'm like, Jake, here are the things you need to do. You've never gone elk hunting before, you got to come with me. You got to try it. He's big into weightlifting. He's like, no, I got it. I'm fine. And we get out there and we get one day in, it takes a couple hours to get to our campsite. Next morning, we're crawling on our hands and knees up a mountain. Cause I'm like, this is going to be a great glassing vantage point. We get up there and he's pissed. Like he's looking at me like, this is a terrible idea. Can't believe you convinced me to do this. We ended up like not being able to get down. It was a whole thing. He didn't talk to me for a day. Like that whole hunting trip, he was just quietly, silently stewing. So I still give him a hard time about it, but part of it's like, I don't know. I can't do it. I don't know. I just don't want to do it another way. That's the way that feels right. It's the way that I think that I'm going to probably be most successful. And yeah, again, going back to, who you mix well with, you on the other hand, probably would have talked to me. And we probably would have just loved it every minute of it.
See, the one thing I've learned with hunting with James is that you never follow where he's going because you usually end up getting lost.
Yeah.
Or you don't end up seeing anything.
Oh, so. Whoa.
Point in case, man. But no, it really just all goes back to, who you're hunting with. And if you've got a good team and you both click together, then it all works. And we've been able to do that.
Yeah. And in your guys' case, I mean, you've been able to articulate it. And, kind of have a message that resonates with a lot of people, non-hunters alike.
That was kind of our goal from day one, to figure out how to make a product, a story that people would want to watch, whether they were sort of hunters or not.
Yeah.
We watch all kinds of films on whatever it is, adventures, whitewater kayaking the Amazon or something. Right. I'm not a whitewater kayaker. I've never whitewater kayaked in my life. But the film is really well done and the story is really awesome and I want to watch it.
Yeah.
So, why can't that be done in the hunting industry?
Sure.
And so that's sort of what we took on from day one is how do we make something that people might want to watch that aren't actually hunters? And like we were backing up a little bit, Donnie was talking about that Nat Geo, conversation, and that video that actually spurred that Who We Are video that we did. It went like pretty viral there for a while.
Love that one.
That was an attempt to sort of talk to Nat Geo. That was actually really what that video was. And they sort of said, yeah, that's all great, but like it's still trophy hunting. That was sort of their approach on it,
Sure.
And so they weren't going to support it. And so we just said, well, let's just release this. Yeah. And boom, it went viral. And the response that we got on that video, I mean, it got staff picked on Vimeo. And I was like, oh man, that's like cool. That's a pretty granola, like kind of platform. And I was like, how's this taken? And the response was really good. I think there was 600, 700 comments on it and it was like 95% positive.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's pretty impressive. We didn't get ripped really at all. So that was sort of the goal from day one. And I think, good storytelling, with Donnie and then good imagery. Yeah. You can just watch it just for the imagery and then the story on top of it. This all makes it really good.
A good story is a good story. I mean, you have to appreciate it, and I know there are certain biases out there against hunting for a lot of people, but ultimately, like a good story is just a good story. It's an adventure story and it's engaging. It's hard not to like.
Yeah,
if anybody's against hunting, really, in the realm of being against hunting, it's because somebody's providing for them, even if you're a vegan or if you're the, like we've discussed before, the president of PETA, or you reduce your footprint as much as possible. You're still using plastic, you're still doing things that are burning fuel, you're still eating up resources, you are impacting animals through row crop, through chemicals. Even if you're gardening yourself, you're disturbing soils. We are human beings, every animal, we all have a footprint. And so it's, if you're not a hunter, somebody is doing the killing for you. It's plain and simple.
Something is, go on Instagram, look up Nature is Metal. Look at the crazy stuff that happens without even humans being part of it. Nature is messing each other up all the time.
All the time. It's a constant battle. I mean, everything is fighting everything for life. That's how it works. There's no way around it, and we're a big, apex type predator. So, we have a big impact. That's just the way it is.
We're able to, we have a unique position in that we can articulate it. Not obviously not every animal can. My dog would eat a dead bird if he found it and have no issue with it at all, and just chomp it right on down, not think twice about it. And the unique and maybe cool, some would say like the Imago Dei position that we have is that we can think about it. We can understand like how profound what we're doing is, and then weigh it whether it's worth it or not.
It stinks. I'm not going to eat it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, we can try to make it better, right? We can try to make things better.
We can do it better. We can think about it better, and that's just a cool thing. And honestly, you guys have done that really well with the words that you write, with the imagery that you use. Painting it in a positive light and telling a good story. At the end of the day, the things that are going to move people most are probably just good stories, showing something that's engaging and showing something that.
And the amount of time that we've spent talking about food while sitting in snowstorms and the pouring rain and the unbelievable sun, it's just literally William and I sitting on the side of the mountain discussing how many donuts we think we could eat right now, or how big dinner is going to be, or just, I mean, the sincere nonsense that we have covered in just complete delirium of burning too many calories that we're able to replace. It's just, it's pretty remarkable, the things that we've kind of covered and the things that we've done. I mean, we could probably easily write a book of even the after trip meals, the dangerous things we've done, the exhausting hikes that we've had, the close encounters we've had. For years we would joke, we still joke, that we're going to come up with a hunting film called Fleeing the Scene, because of all the absolutely massive animals that we've been close to that have caught us before we've literally sitting there full draw. William can see this caribou and he's in the wide open and he has to take one more step for me, and they were sitting there frozen, and then he explodes out of there. And it's been a lot of yin and yang. And I went through target panic for years, which was horrible, because when you hike up the mountain, do you have target panic?
Yeah.
Finally, I'm just glad he admits it.
You need to call Joel Turner of Shot IQ.
That's what I've been hearing.
We got to get him on, man.
I know.
No, you have to go take his class. You have to go take his class tomorrow.
Tomorrow, dude.
Because it'll change your life forever. You'll never have target panic again.
That's right.
I'll do it if you do it. I'll do it with you. Let's go. Yeah, of course. I had it for a long time.
Right there.
I had it for a long time, and for a long time you gave me like the raised eyebrow, like it wasn't even real. And the whole time I'm like, dude, pitchers get it, like or golfers get it. They call it the yips. It's kind of the same thing. And finally you get it, and it felt so good. I'm sorry. I felt so vindicated. I just sat there all smug, the way that I didn't know that I fixed it, but I switched to like a trad bow for just purely trad for a long time, and a clicker. Yeah. And that clicker just seemed to just make sense.
Yeah.
How do I get that on my new compound bow? Can I get a clicker for that?
You gotta get back attention.
That's what I need.
You got to make good decisions. But yeah, so it's been I don't know. We could for sure write down. I mean, we could have one ridiculous chapter after another. You know, we
Yeah.
could write things about reading the backs of labels in the tent for days on end, right? We could talk about the things that we've absolutely lost our minds over, and the, you know, falling off of horses, falling in rivers, near airplane crashes, bears.
We always joke about if there was a transcript of the entire trip at the end, people would be like, who are these guys? Yeah, it would definitely be quite interesting to read.
That is good. So, you know, what's next for you guys? What are you guys working on? What's coming? I mean, I know you can't divulge everything, but like, what's next? What can we expect from Sigmanta?
Well, we have a lot of, you know, kind of what you said, you'd like to see some of the stuff from the beginning, right? So we have a lot of work that we have filmed that is already, as they say, in the can.
Yeah.
That we can develop, and we're working right now on figuring out what is next. We have 3 or 4 films that are already filmed that we just have to build. We have a small but very good problem of we have a lot of client work right now.
Yeah, that's
Our
great.
clients, that's what a lot of people don't fully understand, is we own Sigmanta, and Sigmanta has clients, even though Donnie Vincent and the work that William and I do together on that side is we're a client of Sigmanta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we also have a lot of work with Sigmanta, and so our clients obviously come first.
And that's growing fast.
Growing, yeah.
That's another good problem.
Not a bad problem. I mean, it cuts into the hunting, but it does pay the bills.
Yeah,
well,
but
it pays bills, and it allows us to sort of, you know, step back a little bit and first of all get some of the things done that we have in the can. If we keep pushing, you know, footage on top of footage on top of footage, it's like, how do you get, you know, it takes a lot of time to put these things together too. And you know, we might even need to go back and you know, do a small trip to sort of wrap up some holes in a you know, so like those things need to get focused on too. And then, you know, get this stuff out, and then the commercial work is getting, you know, big.
Do you guys go out and sell, or do you just have people kind of find you now?
Oh, they just find us.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah, we've never ever advertised anything ever.
Yeah, your work does kind of speaks for itself, basically.
Yeah. We've on the, you know, on the wilderness side of things, you know, people start to understand us as, you know, William and I hunt the exact same way on camera that we would hunt off camera, right? We are, our T's are crossed, our I's are dotted. We go in early, we stay late because we love to be there. We stop to film butterflies and birds and flowers because we love to see them. Exactly what you see on camera is exactly who we are, except for the nonsensical discussions that we have about how many green olives we could eat or how much goat cheese we would like to have right now, things like that when we're very hungry. And but we are, you know, this is but then on the other side of the coin, the client side with Sigmanta, you know, we've started to be known as, and I'm not bragging, but people have started to kind of call us the agency killer, because usually these brands hire these massive ad agencies to come in and do all their writing and storytelling and, you know, basically come up with a scope of work, and then they pay the agency a lot of money. Well, they're kind of sidestepping that and just coming straight to us, and we're doing a lot of the work for some of these bigger companies, you know, like Benelli, and we just filmed a Mossberg commercial last week, and filming for Shields, things like that. But
awesome.
On our personal work, you know, we have another in the series of the Rivers Divide. We have a film to come out. We have a hunt on Tiburon Island for sheep that we want to complete, that will be about Luis Romero's father. And we would have been in Mexico this spring filming images and stories about his dad if it wasn't for this ridiculous COVID, ridiculous restrictions, I should say. And so we have a lot of work. And so one thing that Kyle and I and William have been talking about is how to maybe even short stroke some of this work just in the meantime, to come out with some short 1 minute, 2 minute, 3-4 minute pieces to kind of just introduce the audience to some of this imagery. But to speak to what William's talking about, like we have, you know, like there's a couple of, maybe one more Doll sheep hunt that I want to do. And there's a really particular doll sheep hunt that I want to do up in the Northwest Territories with a particular guide out of Arctic Red River. And if I was able to do that hunt, then we have literally like 6 sheep hunts that I would love to put together in an individual film. That's 6 doll sheep hunts and that have taken us across incredible terrain. And then, we have some other work. Go ahead, William.
Oh, saying 10 years of sheep hunting, really. I mean, yeah. And then like Australia, I mean,
I remember some of those films, you guys, just those little teasers, you have those dingoes on that hunt.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
The buffalo.
Yeah.
Australia,
and so things like that.
We hit a lot of our goals in Australia. I mean, I remember every day Kyle was like, if you can get a shot of this today, that would be sweet. And then I'd come back and be like, I got it today, It's just like everything clicked, we got a lot of really good stuff there. Yeah.
I mean, we filmed these buffalo fighting. We've never released it, but these 2 massive Asiatic water buffaloes running and just colliding, and you could see the flies bouncing, like the flies would come off their back in the dust. And we're talking to Nick Joyce, who is an amazing hunter out of Australia that has the same philosophies as William, myself, Kyle. And I look at Nick and I'm like, Nick, when do the bulls do this typically? And he's like, 6 months from now. And I'm like, when's the last time you saw this in were we there in July, William? I think June, July.
Yeah.
I'm like, when did you see this? He's like, never. Never. And then when we saw the dingoes hunting the buffalo, we sat there and like that clip ends, but literally all those buffaloes stampede, right? And that's another thing is like working with William and Kyle, as we sat there and this whole herd of buffalo stampeding towards us. And I just said, not that I had to, but I just said, nobody moves. Like, we're in this until the end. Like, you film this until legs hit us. And like the buffalo ended up splitting us at the end. And then the dingoes started hunting us right at the end. They kind of want to see if we were food, which they quickly decided we weren't. But, and then I looked at Nick and I'm like, when's the last time you saw that? He's like, never, mate, never. And then we come to find out from like the dingo consulate in the buffalo biologist, like none of them have ever seen it. Nobody's even heard of it. And here we captured it on film, So like William says, we have a lot of great imagery from that hunt, and we killed a massive buffalo, and the imagery of the arrow going in him is sensational. And he dies in, under 10 seconds, right, William?
Yeah, I mean, he ran probably 50 yards tops, and just within whatever it was, 6-8 seconds, he was done.
Boom, done.
Well, if you want to see amazing, you got to go to amazing places. If you want to see amazing things, eh?
That's right.
I feel like I still
so it's we have a lot of work to come. I mean, on one hand, I wish we could just focus on the films, because we could come out with a long form film easily 1 a year, if not even 2 a year. But like William says, it's a process, right? The music takes months to write, because we score all of our own music. The writing takes, at least a month to 6 weeks to write. And then it's compiling all the imagery, and Kyle coming up with the backbone of what our edits are going to be. And then it's compiling all this stuff. And then we have version 1.
Yeah.
It takes weeks to then make version 2, weeks to make version 3. And it's usually version, I'd say 6, 7, 8 is what actually goes to market.
Yeah.
And it's a complicated, you look at like the last one we did, The Other Side, and that was like 6 years of bear hunting. So you got to think, Kyle's got to go through, all the hard drives and find all the bear hunting films and put together, and then build, sort of figure out how to make the story out of 6 years of bear hunting, So it's not just as simple as like, oh, this was the day we started, and 5 days later we shot a bear, and then now we're done.
Chronologically,
pretty straightforward story,
Right.
So it's a very complicated editing process. And these like that doll sheep one that Donnie's talking about. I mean, that's literally going to be the first hunt we ever went on together, was doll sheep hunt. And so, that's
jumped right in with that one.
Yeah, and
we jumped right in.
it was like, to this day, top 3 of the worst or the hardest hunts ever, basically. And, it was yeah, well,
bad.
Lance Kromberger, who's like one of the biggest sheep hunters in the world, guide outfitters in the world, he's still to this day is like, that was top 5 worst sheep hunt of my life.
You know, you got at least you're
coldest.
Yeah. He's like, he said that last time we were hunting with him. He's like, that was the coldest I've ever been in my life. Yeah. It was bad.
Well, you got that one out of the way.
And you got a good story to tell, hopefully soon.
Yeah, and Donnie and I literally met on the trailhead to go into that hunt. So you can imagine the potential, and what were you, like 16, 18 years and drawing that tag? Something like that.
Yeah, 21 years.
21 years. Yeah.
21 years.
So, think about the potential catastrophe there.
Bold.
Donnie and I never worked together a day. Barely, and we actually had briefly met once, but didn't really even remember it or know who each other were. But yeah, so think about the potential catastrophe there going in on that level of hunt. It's 25 miles just to get to the hunting area. And then we had epic weather, snow, rain, shot a sheep, hiked 30 miles one day. It was just, it was bad. It was hard.
We arrowed a giant ram. It was
but also totally awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just, we're telling that story right now, right?
Yeah.
How many hunts have we been on? And we're only telling a few stories, and that's one of them. So
yeah, that's my point. That's the thing. Like the hard stuff is the most memorable and like usually most significant, and it's the most like formative in your life.
Yeah. And then and we were just talking about that last sheep hunt, where we did the flourish and we didn't get a sheep, but we're telling stories from that hunt, and that because you don't have to get one, right, to have a heck of an adventure.
Yeah.
And we've got a bunch of stories like that didn't end in an animal.
Yeah.
It's not really about the animal,
No.
It's all about the trip and pushing hard and giving it your all and just enjoying being there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever done a big wilderness hunt?
That was we called that the most successful, unsuccessful hunt of our lives.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we were within whatever. We got about 80 yards from that sheep, and and it just to get to 80 yards was, I don't even know how we did that.
Me either.
Huh.
Yeah.
That was a bow hunt.
Yeah. Archery only. It was an archery only tag.
Okay.
Yeah.
In a blizzard, probably blowing 50 or 60.
Kind of
to
Hail Mary. It was like the day before the last day, but the last day we knew the weather wasn't going to be good, so we couldn't on it. And so we just said, all right. And we watched him like 3 days. He was cliffed out, way up high, and he wouldn't come out of the cliffs. And it was like, well, we either have to go up there, try to do this, or we have to walk out of here, one or the other. And we went for it. And you're looking at a sheep miles away on a cliff face, and as soon as you get to the bottom, you were up on the next ridge over or whatever, and as soon as you get to the bottom, you can't see anymore.
Yeah.
And you've got to hike 2,000 vertical up through the cliffs and the snow, and it was literally whiteout blizzard, and try to figure out where was that sheep. Now that we're up here, where are we supposed to be? And we somehow we went right to him, and we were and he was right. We looked over the cliff, and it was like there he was. And
we had him. If it was a rifle hunt, he was dead. We were on top of him. It was like 80 yards dead to rights.
Yeah.
But even in the right conditions, archery, compound, you can almost pull that off. But it was blowing like 60 miles an hour, and there's absolutely no way that was going. Yeah. So
that's amazing.
We call that the most unsuccessful unsuccessful hunt, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
I like it.
Well, I remember a lot of unsuccessful. If you're being honest, most of the time you're unsuccessful. Like it's not like you're batting, 800 out there or anything like that. So no, and you had asked it for us for like these wilderness hunts, other than some elk hunting, camping in Colorado, or a lot of camping around the Great Lakes region. That's about as far as for us personally have gone. So
which is awesome though. The
awesome.
fact that you're camping to hunt turkeys, that takes turkey hunting times 10.
It's a lot more fun that way.
Yeah, we really.
I do that stuff right here out my back door.
Yeah.
I'll just go like an hour from home and camp because I could drive there in the morning, but it's more fun to push I'm doing adventure. I mean, Donnie got to see it the other day when he was here, and I took him to some of my spots, and it's like I've had a whole thing going on here right within 15 minutes of my house. It's a huge adventure in itself, and it involves camping and oceans and boats and
you guys have some cool boat hunts going on.
Yeah,
some of your sea buck stuff. That's cool stuff. That is unique.
Yes,
and that's kind of been our thing, and we talk about it a lot, but there's adventure to be had wherever you are.
It's kind of what I mean, right? You don't have to go to Alaska. You don't have to go to the Northern Territories and all that stuff. It's like you can find that stuff right close to home. You just have to go searching for it and sort of figure it out. I mean, there's huge pieces of public ground, right? There 20, 30, 40,000 acre pieces. It's like who hikes into the middle of that? Like
not very many people.
Right. So it's like you can go in there and get into an adventure that no one else is really experiencing.
Yeah, we're talking about this year. We're taking a boat into an island in Lake Michigan, Manitou Island. It's not inaccessible by any means for people, but just people really don't do it that much. And we're doing it. There's like 1 week where everybody does it. Where like there's like a chartered boat through the state. You sign up and you do it. But like very few people know you can do it ahead of time. It's just a bow hunt that way.
Yeah.
And if you can put up with all the ticks on the island, you're good to go. You can have a lot of fun and learn a lot of stuff out there. So yeah. What's it called? Something with a P, permethrin, something.
Permethrin.
Yeah. we're gonna load up
to
on
keep
that.
the ticks off.
Yeah. We're gonna need a lot of that. So hopefully you got lime anyways, right?
DEET.
That's right.
Right. DEET works.
Something like that. So, well, we're coming up on time here, guys. For people who might want to follow, want to catch Flourish and some of the other side, and Rivers Divide, and all the other work that you guys done. How can they find it? Where can they look you guys up?
Just look up my name, Donnie Vincent. I think it's Donnie_Vincent for Instagram and Facebook, and then of course Sicmanta, SICMANTA is our production company, and then William has under William's name as well, and he's DP Wild on Instagram, and
then we've been working on just a few projects here at home too, the hunting ME stuff, which we've sort of been on the podcast talking about that, and that's sort of more local and working with my dad and my friend Josh, and just kind of trying to tell the main story a little bit, because that's not
shooting monster Maine bucks. Lots of there's some big bucks out there, man.
There's one right there. Trying to sort of show what Maine really has to offer, which is it's awesome here. It's very hard to get. You have to work really hard for it. So we've been working on it for 25, 30 years, and kind of starting to sort of crack the case a little bit. So yeah, it's been a fun adventure. I mean, I was out this morning, Dad shot a turkey this morning.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was actually a crazy turkey hunt. Dad's like, roosted this bird. He's like, yeah, there's a spruce tree on the edge of the field. We can go get under that spruce tree in the morning, crawling under there. We don't like using blinds and all that. And actually not even, I mean, Dad was wearing a plaid shirt and solid pants. I had, I think, a camo vest on. That was it, and he's like, yeah, there's a little spruce tree. And we get up there to the spruce tree. I mean, it's like the worst Charlie Brown Christmas tree you've ever seen. The thing was like 6 feet tall, barely any branches, and we like sat up under that thing, and we had two toms come out, and the plan was they were going to land and sort of work in front of us, but they actually came down and they landed behind us, and I mean not even kidding, they were 4 yards away, strutting. They had to walk by us at 4 yards, and we were just way too exposed for that.
You can feel them drumming in your chest.
The whole thing. We were looking straight ahead, like can't move, and you can just hear them dragging their wings and spit drumming right through the leaves. And they walked right by us, and Dad got them at like 10 yards right in the decoys with a 410. So
that's cool.
But just stuff like that people don't ever see,
Yeah. And you're in Maine. It would be weird if you weren't wearing something flannel. You know what I'm saying? Like it just feels right.
And you can hear it. Like you can hear it in William's voice, right? That's as big of adventure as we've ever had. We go to some crazy places, but really it's a mindset. His morning turkey hunt with his dad in Maine has the exact same impact, if not more, of any things any of the things that we've
Yeah.
went and done. It doesn't matter if it's ducks or turkeys or deer or whatever. We have
All
that
about how
mindset of
All about how
adventure.
it's done. You know, it's the process that you go through to get there. It's really the most important part, and sort of building up the anticipation. And the harder you work, you know, the harder you push, like the bigger the reward and the better it feels.
Yeah.
And so we put that into, you know, every time we go out, we're just pushing really hard to make it special.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm sure we could have, you know, popped up a ground blind and sat, you know, 40 yards from those birds and shot them the same way. But to crawl in there, you know, and lay in a ditch and you know, we had a couple little, you know, branches, like, you know, on our left side that we stuck in the ground. We're trying to make a little thing, and we're just like, you know, sitting there like, oh God, there's no way this is gonna work.
Yeah. You're talking our language. That's our turkey way. You know, we don't do blinds or anything like that. And you know, lots of times it doesn't work out that way, but it's still like so much fun to just mobile and just pop up wherever you see cover and wherever you find birds. It's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys for coming on.
That way, and it's a whole different experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go for it. I'd say it's a whole different experience not being in a blind, you know. So
well, you know, we just so we can talk about the second. Like that I don't know. We've done the blind thing in the very early on, and it just
very briefly.
You're like pinned down. You know, you can't like explore as much, and you don't learn as much about like the way that turkeys act and do and you know and think until you're kind of running and gunning, or like as Jared likes to say, bowing and going. You know, grab your bow and just kind of go find them and figure it out. And it took us a couple of years, but you know, like you learn a lot about what turkeys do in the middle of the day when it's hot or when it's rainy or you know it's windy. Where are they going? You know, you learn a lot that way. So it's cool. So, well, I appreciate you guys coming on.
Yes.
Everybody,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was great. Good to talk to you guys again. And we'll hopefully talk to you again soon.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, we can do another one.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, guys.